Richard Irwin Rude, better known as professional wrestler Ravishing Rick Rude, was born December 7th, 1958 in Minnesota and made his big break in the world of professional wrestling when he came to the WWF in 1987. Rude made his WWF debut on Superstars of Wrestling in July of '87 as the newest addition to the Bobby Heenan family. And from there was no looking back for Rude, from his legendary feuds with Jake the Snake Roberts and the Ultimate Warrior, and on top of that with winning Intercontinental Championship gold with the company. Rude truly was one of the best that the WWF had ever had. But in 1990, Rick Rude would have a dispute with WWF owner Vince McMahon, and that led to him leaving the company. So bring on World Championship Wrestling in 1991. This would be Rick Rude's home for the next 3 years of his career. And this is where he would meet Sting, where the two engaged in some legendary battles over the years. But tragically, it would all come to an end in 1994 for Rick Rude. Rude had lost his WCW International World Heavyweight Championship to Sting at Spring Stampede, April 17th, 1994. Rude would get his rematch just a couple of weeks later on May 1st when the two wrestled in Fukuoka, Japan. The two were having an absolute wrestling classic with Rude in the shape of his life. They were putting on a real spectacle for the crowd. However, the match would take an ugly turn when this happened. Sting had executed an over-the-top rope dive onto Rude. However, there was a raised platform right behind where Ravishing Rick Rude was standing. And that was the downfall of this match and the moment that ultimately ended Rick Rude's in-ring career. Astonishingly, Rude was able to finish the match, and he actually came out victorious due to outside interference, and he regained his title back from Sting as was scheduled. However, the damage done was irreparable, with Rude landing on that elevated board that surrounded the ringside area. He blew out his C4 and C5 vertebrae. A few weeks later, the title change was rescinded and given back to Sting due to the controversy surrounding the finish of that match. But Rude, he was injured and in a very bitter fashion gone from WCW. Allegedly, Rude blamed Sting for being careless in where he dove, and there was tremendous heat between the two. He was 35 years old and in the second year of the biggest contract he ever signed, Rude's wife Michelle said, and then it basically ended. That just killed him. He was a great entertainer, and it really hurt him that he couldn't perform. Even at the risk of injuring himself seriously, he'd have tried it again. The question was put to Sting, "I know accidents happen in the ring, but I also heard he never really forgave you for his neck being injured in a match against you. Is that true?" And Sting replied, "No, it's not. When he came back to WCW from the WWF, he walked right up to me and shook my hand. We were friends until the day he died." Rude would return to wrestling in 1997 when he had a brief stint with ECW before returning to the WWF and joining D-Generation X with Shawn Michaels, Triple H and Chyna. However, this would not be a long stay at the WWF at all, because he returned back to WCW between the years of 1997 and 1999, becoming a member of the NWO and managing his longtime good friend Curt Hennig. Tragically, Rick Rude died on the morning of April 20th, 1999 when he was found unconscious by his wife Michelle. Rude was only 40 years of age and had suffered heart failure. At the time of his death, Rude was in training for a return to the ring. Rick Rude was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2017 by a man who he had shared other legendary matches with in WCW, and that was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. His wife Michelle and children Marissa and Richard Jr. accepted the award on his behalf. Tragically, Rude's other son Colton was not at the ceremony as he had died in September of 2016 in a motorcycle accident at the age of just 19. So there you go, guys, a very sad ending there for Ravishing Rick Rude, and with one of his sons dying there too in a very tragic fashion. Not good at all. But he was a true legend of the sport, a real life tough man. One guy you would not want to pick a fight with in a bar. He was known to totally take out anybody in his way who messed with him at all. Rude would take you down to the pavement. In fact, he was a noted arm wrestler. He finished 6th in the World Championships in Las Vegas in the light heavyweight division in 1983, so he was a real life tough guy. He was an absolute legend of the wrestling business. His iconic run in the WWF between 1987 and 1990 was just the stuff of folklore. Those legendary feuds he had with Jake the Snake Roberts and the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, the guy was ripped. He looked like $1,000,000. An absolute brilliant technical wrestler. And just before we go, guys, I'll finish off with one thing that Bret Hart said about Rick Rude. He stated that Rude was a devoted family man who never took his wedding ring off even during matches, but instead he would cover it up with tape. Hart also stated that Rude, along with Curt Hennig, was one of the greatest technical wrestlers of his era. So here's to a legend, Ravishing Rick Rude. As always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and consider becoming a channel member. There's more information on that down below, and we'll catch you next time here on Stinger Wild.
What I'd like to have right now is for all you fat, filthy Iowa sharecroppers to keep the noise down while I take my robe off and show the ladies what a real man looks like.
Thanks heaps, guys, for tuning into the video. Be sure to drop a scorpion death drop on that like button and subscribe to the channel for more awesome pro wrestling action from the WWE, the WCW, and much more.